Well, I'm Marie. The Felixes once described me as being the glue that holds MAPC together. I don't know if that's so accurate, but I could try anyway. I'm the coordinator to send the messages around and send articles around. And,
sticky work.
It's sticky work. It is extremely sticky work. And I came to Germany in 1969. I married a physicist who also worked at Siemens, and he's retired now. And I joined MAPC, I think it must have been 1984 or 5. I wasn't there from the very beginning, maybe 1985. And we've had our ups and downs over the years, but we still keep on doing the most we can, because we're all extremely upset with what's happened to our country, and we still feel it is our country and they can't do this to us, but it's not an easy fight, as you know.
I've been in the Munich-American Peace Committee for years, and the Munich Press Committee is 22 years old now. And I'm an architect, and I've been in Munich since 1967.
Okay, Eva?
Pardon?
Would you tell us, just tell us who you are and you asked about
Actually,
how I
this
became
is very
a
new.
political activist, and it's kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short. When I lived in the States, I wasn't interested in politics any more than the next person. I was born and grew up in Pennsylvania and worked there for many years as a teacher. And then after a year in Frankfurt at the American Military High School, I went back to the States and started teaching at the University of Delaware. I was a French teacher, and there was a nice, tall German who appealed to me when I got there, and we started going together, and he was doing his research for his doctorate in University of Berlin. He was doing research in the physics lab at the right across the street from where I lived, and so we went together for almost 3 years and finally decided we would get married. And during that time I was just, you know, things happened and I read about them or I saw them on TV, but you know, it didn't really affect me. And then after we got married, we moved to Germany.
From Newark?
Yeah, from Newark. Yeah, Newark, we're at the University of Delaware. And we came to Munich, and gradually I learned German with a great deal of difficulty. And one of the ways I learned was reading, not only watching television, but also reading the newspaper, because my husband is a newspaper addict. He has to have his newspaper every day. And in the States, I read the paper. I didn't read the paper. It wasn't terribly urgent, and I hardly ever saw the New York Times. I liked it, but I didn't read it regularly. But here, I got into the habit of reading an excellent paper called the Süddeutsche Zeitung, which is published in Munich, and it is one of the papers which is over-regional. How do you say that? It's really a paper for the whole country, not just for the Munich area. And
Like the New York Times,
yeah,
Washington
and
Post.
it's a liberal paper, yeah, sort of liberal. And I became more interested, and gradually I began to see what the U.S. was doing, what the U.S. government was doing was affecting not only the U.S. but Europe and the whole world, really. And since my husband always was interested in politics, he didn't really do anything actively except vote while he was working, but I gradually got involved with the Munich American Peace Committee, first of all, not because of politics, but because I was happy to find a group of Americans. After I'd been here for some years, I really had the urge to know more Americans, and these were intelligent, interesting, talented Americans in the group. And so I gradually got involved, and at first it was really, I still didn't have a terrific drive to do things, but through the newspapers and the television here, which is much better than that in the US, I gradually realized ever more, even always more and more and more, how terrible things were in the U.S. government, what they were doing. Reagan and the Contragate, and Bush and the first Bush and the first Iraq War, Gulf War, and then I started really becoming active and going out in the street with the others from the Munich-Am Peace Committee, and so I've stayed active ever since. This is not very nice.
And you often combine these things, like kitchen work,
yeah,
work,
if like there's a space in between, you know, and when I have to wait till potatoes cook or something, then I check my email or something like that. But to do any serious work, I have to be able to concentrate on what I'm doing. I often try to do 3 times at once, and 3 things at once, and then I foul them all up.
But you know, B and I consider this your commando center,
yeah,
command bridge.
Something call it the control room or something
Yeah.
like that. A command bridge, yeah, that sounds good.
Did you always have your computer down here since you had
Yeah,
your own
since
computer?
I had a computer. I saw it because I thought of it because my niece in Florida, in their bungalow, they have a rambling kitchen, American type kitchen, and it's all open, and they have a dining table. I mean, a small dining table. They also have a dining room, but they have a small table here right next to the kitchen part, and then they have a desk section over here with cupboards, and their computer is there on that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, they have an immense kitchen. Then it's not that, like when I fry anything here, I have to cover this all up so that the flying grease and stuff doesn't get on it, and they have all this room, so they don't need to worry about that.
So this enables you to combine your role as a housewife, mother, and, adult mother now, and political activist, peace activist.
Yeah, I guess so, more or less.
How do you organize your time, I mean, structure the day so that you are able to answer all the emails and organize the Munich-Am Peace Committee and keep everything in order and running at home?
I wish I could, but as far as structuring the day, is that we always get up around between 7 and 7:30 and have breakfast, and we've always liked to allow ourselves time enough to have breakfast in peace and quiet and read the newspaper for a while before we get started on the day. And if I have any larger projects, I'm speaking working here at home now, not the times when I have to go to teach English or have something that takes me out of the house. But I usually try to do anything that takes a lot of time and energy in the morning, because I'm not so lively in the afternoons. And the worst thing I can do is turn on the computer and look at my computer first, because then I think, oh, you know, I want to wash and iron and do all these other things, but I'll just look into the computer, and then there's something there that needs to be taken care of, and so I take care of that, and that leads to something else, and that leads to something else. And I try not to do that unless I'm waiting for something special, and then I do look at the computer early. But I usually then, after I've got the housework more or less at least started, then I go to the computer and do the necessary things to organize whatever needs to be organized. Yeah, then it's time to start cooking dinner, and we usually have our main meal at the noon hour, because so often one of us or both of us are going to a meeting in the evening, and I don't like to eat early. Sometimes the meetings get started at 7, and that means we have to eat by 5:30 or so, and I don't like eating before 7, actually. If it's up to me, the evening meal doesn't happen before 7 or 7:30, or sometimes even later if Peter has a class or something. He goes to a Spanish class that starts at 6, and so in town, so when he goes to that, he's not home till 8. Sometimes we don't eat until then. It varies. But our supper is usually a cold supper, so it doesn't take a whole lot of organizing.
But it's a juggling act.
Yeah, it sure is. And when Caroline was living here and I had to work around her schedule besides our schedules as far as meals were concerned, she was kind of shocked when I said to her after she moved into her apartment and got settled, and I said, I don't really plan on having you for meals every day. You can come from time to time, and but I don't want to have to cook every day, planning around so many different people's schedules. We're lucky that although our group is small, we have mixed talents, various and sundry talents. One of our members is an artist, and he makes very inventive collages, on political subjects. This is one of my favorites, of a little girl who's supposed to look like an angel with part of the Twin Towers as wings, and all of these various children who have been affected by what America's government has been doing. This is really a triptych that has 3 parts, which aren't all of us visible at one time on the screen, but you see Bush as he is coming, and he has Christ in the background because he feels he's been chosen by God, and then you have some of his activities with his good friends and some of the results of these activities. And in the last one you see him going, which unfortunately he did not do. And you have another type of Christ, or Antichrist if you prefer, in the sky on this side. I'm going to have water, but...
Estado, is that because she was talking of Estado, it also could be a dessert, I don't know.
I just started. Today, because the Shevitzes are here, we're having a starter.
A dessert kind of starter.
He was afraid that he was going to film them when they had sex, and they actually wanted. He said, "Could there be a film in this bedroom, a hidden camera?" And this wife, they were the main meal. So.
I will not drink my beer with my starter. That's it. the organizer. I got out very
Oh,
elegantly
yeah,
because I took on somehow they couldn't find anybody else to do the organizing for the Easter March. And so I had no reason to say no, but I got out of it very elegantly because the Easter March is split up into the actual march and then the info stands at the Marienplatz. And since I was mainly responsible for the Marienplatz, and so it just happens that the entire march I'm no longer concerned with. I just have to watch the info stands, and poor Bernd Michel has to take all the rest, which he was not expecting at all.
I wanted to just ask you, or point out that you really illustrate that we are a an American-German peace group, because you are, as a marriage, as a couple. Have you ever thought about that?
No, but Peter is, even though he doesn't belong to the group anymore, he does an awful lot for our group with his transporting of our banners and our, usually the poles and the posters and all kinds of things on his bicycle, or rather on our tandem. And we would really, I don't know how we would move all this stuff back and forth if it weren't for Peter carrying things. And when there are any technical kinds of problems, anything that needs to be arranged, he does that kind of thing, and he does our website, so he's kind of a part of the group as far as the work is concerned. He's a part of the group anyway.
And this is the entire range from the bloc to the Christians. Although and thus the Christians refuse to be part of it because they got too upset, you know.
But they've done it how many times together now? All these different.
Oh, I think in the beginning I took part. This was the third time I took part. In the beginning, it was awful. They would quarrel. So this is really a learning process. Because they have, in the meantime, they have figured out that all this fighting doesn't get them any place.
These handles are not.
That's interesting.
And as long as they realize that they want to work together, that splitting up is not an option.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot easier.